Patch 11.2 was revealed in basically its entirety yesterday. If you don't know this already, you might be just living under a rock, or you haven't watched your Samiccus news update yet. So let's just drive straight into this thing. Here we go. Patch 11.2, Ghosts of Caresh. That's right, guys. Finally, we are getting our Ethereal patch in this game. If you've been, into Ethereal since BC like I have, this is a pretty cool patch, something we've been waiting for. I'm really excited to jump into it. So let's see what we're getting with this patch here, Ghosts of Caresh. The War Within campaign will continue in Ghosts of Caresh. The campaign continues as more pieces to the troubling puzzle fall into place. With the release of this content update, players will be able to immerse themselves in the War Within story as it leads up to the next chapter of the World Soul Saga, Midnight. There's some unfinished business to be had on Caresh, and the specter of an old enemy looms large. Forces of ill intent are determined to bring forth Demanius. That's right, Demanius. We've been talking about it for quite a while now. He's finally showing up. The all-devouring. Once more to finish off the Ethereals. Should he arise in Azeroth, he will also bring peril from this dangerous Void Lord. So, yeah, we're going to basically fight off Demanius to keep him from destroying the last of the Ethereals. He's here to finish the job. That's right, double tap these bitches. And now we're showing up to stop that from happening because his next step is Azeroth. So, big. I'm surprised we're actually seeing Demanius in this patch here. I thought we weren't going to see him till midnight. Thoughts, just to start, I don't think we're beating him. I think he's going to literally finger pop us and kick our asses, and we're going to have to deal with the fallout of that in the Midnight expansion, because I think it's just too early to kill off Demanius right now. But anyways, so where are we going to be during this patch? We'll be exploring the shattered world of Caresh. That's right, home of the Ethereals. Caresh is a fragmented, void-touched world just waiting for players to explore what remains of this little-known land. With the shadowy forces working towards bringing Demanius back into the world, players will need to gather their allies in a bid to put a stop to him and his followers. You'll fight alongside Illyria Windrunner and her mentor, Locust Walker, among others, to end the clear present danger he poses. Players will also have the opportunity to explore Tazesh, the Veiled Market, work towards restoring the ecospheres and ecodomes, and go phase diving and more. Phase diving, we'll talk a little bit more about that. It honestly sounds like a crazy drug trip. Like, you're going to be going into another phase of this, of everything, basically, this game, dungeons, raids. They're talking about it being everywhere. So we'll see. We'll get more into that. But the return to Tazesh, we'll get more into that as well later. Sounds cool. If you don't remember, Tazesh was the mega raid back in Shadowlands. Honestly, one of the cooler looking aesthetics from Shadowlands. I like Tazesh a lot. It's going to show up both as a mega raid and it'll be showing up in Mythic Plus split up into dungeon. So that's pretty cool. Reshi Wraps, we'll talk more about these as well. Reshi Wraps, honestly, they could have come up with a better name for these. I mean, this sounds like something you'd pick up at your local, like, woke wrap sub shop. I don't know. Can I get a Reshi Wrap? Hold the mayo. I think that there could have been a better name for this, but basically this is a new artifact cloak. Okay, so you'll be upgrading this cloak. This cloak is going to be the thing that you're powering up the entirety of this patch. It'll continue to build up in power. It's going to give us certain powers, whether you're tanking, healing, or DPSing. I'll talk more about Reshi Wraps in depth here in a second. But just an overall there, it's going to be something that we're upgrading the patch. It seems to be a theme. Blizzard loves to give us something to upgrade for the entirety of a patch now. Yeah, not a fan of the name either. Yeah, it's 4 hours of React stream. No, we're just going straight to the news today. Besides that, wrap up and go phase diving. As I mentioned before, there'll be some kind of phases that we'll be able to dive in now with these Reshi Wraps. We'll talk more about that in a second too. The new ecological succession. Yeah, there is a new Ecodome. So if you remember these from Burning Crusade, there were these really cool domes out in Netherstorm. And these domes, you'd walk into them, and there's like the whole environment. It's like you're in Ungoro Crater again all of a sudden, right? It's all lush and green and beautiful. I remember thinking these things were so cool back in BC. I mean, what was it, a 16, 17-year-old Sam? He would love spending time in these things. So these ecodomes are returning, and evidently we're going to be working with Venari to upgrade them and make them better in some way, shape, or form. It'll be kind of like this progression track thing throughout this patch. So It sounds cool. We don't know a ton about them yet, but yeah, there's going to be more about these ecodomes. They're going to be something that we're continually upgrading to help transform this barren landscape into a more promising and new future for the Ethereals. And then we have the new raid, the Mana Forged Omega Raid. That's right, a massive facility built on top of the planet to harvest cosmic energy. Players will fight their way in and through this raid dungeon to take the Shadow Guard Ethereals who have set their efforts towards reviving Demanius. You'll join with your allies to ultimately fight Demanius in a cosmic battle of truly epic proportions to stave off what could be the end of Azeroth as we know it. Interestingly enough, as I said earlier, I don't think we're going to beat him. I think we're going to take a massive L here. Demanius is going to beat the shit out of us. And it's like the Avengers, right, with Thanos snapping. Right, we're gonna take the L, and then Midnight's gonna be all about figuring out how do we recover from this shit. How do we come back from being absolutely bombarded and getting our cheeks clapped by Demanius? We'll have to figure that out. But it sounds cool that we're gonna fight him, and I'll talk more about Demanius himself in a bit here. Plex, we're gonna get the Plexus Sentinel. These are the bosses: Lumithar, Soulbinder, Nazadir. Forge Weaver Araz, the Soul Hunters, optional encounter there, that's interesting. Fractilis, Nexus King, Saladar, and Demanius, the All-Devouring. So those are your bosses. This is a 8-boss raid. It's pretty standard these days, so excited to jump into raiding. As you know, that's all we do on this stream a lot of times is get in there, get raiding done, AOTCing everywhere. Of course, we're going to get those things done, but a fun new raid, always exciting new content. Did they say when this will be happening? No. There is no release date yet for 11.2, but I'm assuming August. If I had to assume something right now, the way PTR is looking, all this shit happening as it is right now, I would say August we're going to get this patch. But that's just a guess right now. The War Within Season 3, we're going to get a bunch of new dungeons. I'll get more into the dungeon pool and everything else. There's a ton to get into here. There's a ton of new dungeon and Mythic Plus related mechanics that we'll be getting as well. So really cool stuff coming out when it comes to Mythic Plus. They're changing up the game in quite a big way. I'll talk more about that here in a second. And then classes, of course, a ton of class changes. I'm not going to get into the patch notes for every single class right now because there's literally pages and pages of this. You can check the link below the video here, and I'll also link this in the stream. You guys can check out your class specifically. But yeah, I mean, I'm still scrolling, and there's still changes being made here. For dungeons, Mythic Plus, also we'll talk about a little bit about abandoning dungeons and everything else here in a second. PvP changes, obviously, a ton of stuff there. Professions and all that other. So there we go. Overall view of the patch so far. Okay, a ton of stuff to get into. Reshi wraps. Let's talk about this because this is going to be the main thing that we're doing and powering up this entire patch. So these things are supposedly changing cosmetically as we level them up. There's going to be, more and more that shows up with them. They're going to look cooler. They gave that ethereal look to them, right? It's all bandaged up and everything. Kind of cool. But basically, you're going to have role-based ethereal energy procs. That's what they're calling them. So if you're doing this as a tank, you'll get ethereal protection. Tanks trigger a shield that reduces damage by 20%, okay, up to a certain threshold. That threshold is increased by 500% below 40% health, though this one has about a 6-minute proc cooldown. So a nice little tanking buff there, giving tanks more survivability. Yeah, what the fuck? An ad. Oh, well, you gotta sub sometimes. I don't know what to say. Ethereal Reconstitution. Heals an injured ally without overhealing or converting, with overhealing, converting that into an absorb shield. So if you overheal, it'll be converted into a shield by the amount you overheal. A cool thing there for healers. And then Ethereal Reaping. Deals direct damage to enemies, increased by 20% when they are below 35%. So this is a nice little damage boon here. You know what? Looking at this now, I see why they did the tanking changes that they did when it comes to aggro. Because, first of all, you're giving tanks, right, another survivability thing. Eggsy. There are no ads. There you go. They could come in with the Prime sub. Make sure you refresh if you sub to get no ads, too. But thank you so much, Eggsy, for the sub. I appreciate that, man. Death Knight of our Scourge. So I suddenly realized why they made the tanking changes when it came to aggro, because you're buffing DPS even more, and you're not really giving tanks a big DPS buff here. So aggro would have been an even bigger issue than it already was. So good thing that they did that. Cantrips, boots, and rings. So this is interesting here. There will be rings and boots that drop from certain places in the game that will actually buff your cloak. So they will have interactive, basically, abilities that'll buff the abilities of your cloak to proc even more. So for boots here, we see cloth, leather, mail, and plate. Where these will be dropping from, I don't know if we're exactly sure yet. Oh, from the Omega raid. Okay, from the Manaforge Omega, from the raid. These things, if you get one of these boots and equip them, they will in fact increase the power of your Reshi wraps to be triggered 50% more frequently. So everyone's going to want, these are going to become your best in slot boots for your best in slot cape. And we already got our best in slot belt for this patch here. Now the belt from the patch currently, as they said, is already going to be obsolete, I believe, by the end of the season. But you're going to have a lot of best in slots to deal with here. So a lot of our slots are going to be filled in by Reshi wrap related items. You have 3 slots now. You're going to have this ring slot. You're going to have your obviously your cape and then your boots as well. And now the ring could be a rare drop. I'm not exactly sure yet. It's going to drop off of Demanius, and this is also going to increase the power of your cape here. So likewise, the special ring dropping off Demanius will further empower players, specifically reducing cosmic damage taken whenever the powers proc. A fairly rare damage type. We presume it'll be more prevalent inside the raid, although the random nature of the procs may help keep it from being too powerful. So there you go, the Band of the Shattered Soul. This will be kind of like our Gallywix ring right now. This is going to be the one that when we finally get whatever the cartel coins will be in this patch, this is going to be the ring everyone's going to want to get. So yeah, probably a rare drop if I had to guess right now off of Demanius, but yeah, a badass ring that'll do badass things for you. And we're going to get some sockets as well for this thing. They're called fiber sockets. Yes, and we're going to be forced to craft. I can't stand it, but we're going to be forced to craft, it looks like. So you will be getting one of these sockets. These sockets will do different things, granting mastery, versatility, haste, and crit, depending on what you want. You'll be socketing this into, looks like your cloak. Yeah, so into your upgradable cloak. And they will scale with item level. Also, if you are not a, what is this? This is going to be made by tailors. So non-tailors will have to obtain these by putting in work orders. Yeah. So, you know, work orders, obviously, you could probably buy them off the auction house. Oh, they're bind on pickup. Bind on pickup. Oh, man. So you're going to have to craft these? If they're bind on pickup, yeah, you're going to have to craft them, right? You're going to have to either put in a work order. So they're forcing everybody to do the fucking work order system. Damn it. Sam will finally craft. Yeah, I'm going to have to. They're forcing me. Shit. All right, well, yeah, we're going to have to do that. There's also going to be this extraction fiber thing here. So, yes, you'll be able to scoop out the little socket, it looks like, so without breaking it, you'll be able to, you know, swap them in and out, which is a good thing, of course. Good, I get to be raked across the coals, paying a ton of gold, basically. Yeah, this is a WoW token play. I'll be honest, probably is, but it's okay, whatever, we'll deal with it. Moving on to some other news here. The camping skip for Reshi wraps, that's right. So campaign skip, I should say. If you do this on your alt, there'll be a campaign to get your Reshi wraps. The good thing is, if you have an alt, you'll be able to skip that and just automatically get your cape. So that's pretty good. Now, the unlocked hidden content here. There'll be a new phase dive, basically a drug-induced phase dive. That's what this thing looks like. Where you jump into this corporeal form, right? You turn yourself basically into an ethereal form, and the entirety of the world changes, the mobs change, all kinds of new loot can be had from this new phase. Where can I phase? Although the first preview of phase diving on the WoWcast has mainly featured phase designs in the outdoor worlds of Caresh, you will also be able to phase inside of Ecodome's, Ilani's dungeon, and the Manaforge raid, and in Delves. So there's going to be phases. I don't know what these would be, challenge modes, or what kind of loot will be involved here. There's a ton of stuff to this phasing that they haven't really talked about. But the phasing will be an important thing. How it's going to work, what we're going to be doing, why we'll be doing phasing, I'm not exactly sure. It could just be cosmetic, or there could be legitimate gear involved in phasing. So we'll have to see, but an interesting little mechanic there for this patch. Now, the War Within Season 3. Okay, kicking this off, we now know our dungeon pool. We have Dawnbreaker, Arakara City. Those are your older dungeons. Operation Floodgate, Priory of the Sacred Flame. So these are your original, you know, War Within dungeons. And now moving on to the new ones. We got Ecodome Eldani. I'll talk a little bit more about this one. This is your new dungeon. I love that Blizzard's doing this. Adding in a new dungeon for a new season just adds a little bit of spice. I really like that we've been getting these new flavors of dungeons. They're themed to the new patch, right? So it's pretty cool. And we get to see something new for, you know, another season that will be rotating through the same dungeons over and over. So it's kind of cool to get something new in the rotation. Sam, because they force you to do this, you will finally have to craft a weapon. I know, yeah. My GM makes us everything. That's good. Knowing a crafter for this patch will be a good thing. So Ecodome, as I mentioned earlier, Halls of Atonement from Shadowlands, Tazesh, the mega dungeon from Shadowlands, will be split into 2 separate dungeons here, Streets of Wonder and Solea's Gambit. So a nice little pool here. I kind of like some of these. Prior of the Sacred Flame, I always thought was a really pretty looking dungeon. I enjoyed that place. Dawnbreaker, decent. I kind of hate the dive in and the way that works because some people don't know where to fucking land and it wipes the group. But yeah, some decent stuff here. Nice little rotation of dungeons, and excited to do a new season. So Blizzard improved a few things when it comes to these seasons, right? For dungeons in general, these are 2 big changes coming in. So we're going to get a dungeon waystone. These things will act as a checkpoint. Basically, when you get to this point, you can see it here on the minimap for the dungeon, you will now be locked to only, when you die, to go back to this point and res to run back. So this is awesome. This is a picture of the new dungeon, so we might not recognize this right now, but it'll be great for longer dungeons where running back is not content. Okay, so I'm glad Blizzard's doing this. Running back has never been content. It's not something that players get excited for. It's nothing that players will talk about like, oh, WoW's the greatest MMO because the run backs. This a fucking the best run backs in MMOs, man. No, nobody gives a shit about this. Nobody wants to see run backs. So close some fucking tabs. We got a lot of news to get into, Cadence. So running back will no longer be an issue, hopefully. So these new waystones basically will act as checkpoints. It's almost like, you know, running and grabbing the flag in a Mario run or something. When you get past a certain point here, you will no longer, when you die, reset back to the start of the dungeon. You will reset back to these waypoints. This is a really good thing. I'm really happy to see it. I think this is a great addition to the game. But something even better, leavers are finally getting penalized, boys. That's right. Big time changes here. Leavers of Mythic Plus dungeons are finally going to get penalized for acting like complete pieces of shit. That's right. No longer will you run through an entire Mythic Plus dungeon only for some jackass to decide to leave at the final boss because this ain't going to boost my IO anymore. I don't give a shit. We didn't get the timer, so I'm leaving, and fuck you guys for all the loot that you're going to miss out on because I don't need it. Yeah, selfish players are going to get selfish fucking prizes. So here we go. This is basically, there's not a ton of details on this, but in an interview with Drew DeSoul and Taylor Sanders, they revealed that there will now be a Mythic Plus Deserter system for Season 3. They haven't given us the details on how long this debuff will last, what it's going to do. Sounds like Sam, yeah. What it's going to mean for players if they do it too many times. They also even talked about banning excessive leavers, so that's a big one too. But here's how it's going to work, basically. In order to leave a Mythic Plus dungeon without a penalty, players must initiate a vote, and the group must agree for that person to leave. If a player leaves without a successful vote too frequently, they'll be marked as someone who leaves often. Ooh. Yeah, I wonder if you'll get a title for that, right? It'll be like Tidewell the Leaver, Conicia the Leaver, Samiccus the Leaver, Samiccus the Abandoner, imagine. So that'll be pretty cool. A nice way to see who's a fucking jackass out there. Marked players can lose their mark by successfully completing the dungeons and using the vote system properly, so you can get rid of the mark, so that's pretty good there. Samiccus the Shameful, yeah. Yeah, we could throw all kinds of creative titles in there. I love seeing this. I'm happy to see this. This has been something that people have been giving feedback on quite a while now, so good to see leavers finally getting penalized for being freaking assholes. Season 3 campaign gear for Mythic Plus and the Mythic Zeros immediately available. This is a great change as well. So before Mythic Plus season kicks off, before the raid opens and everything else, typically we've kind of just sat with our hands in our pants doing absolutely nothing, right? You play through the campaign, you just wait for the season to start. Well, not this time around. You'll be able to start gearing out before the season starts. That's right, because Mythic Plus Zeros will be available before Season 3 officially kicks off. Right, so this is great. I'm happy to see this. You'll be able to start getting gear, preemptively preparing yourself. Also, maybe learning the routes. Maybe learning a little bit on how Mythic Plus is going to kind of play out. Now, we won't have our, what are they called? You know, your debuffs. What? Damn it, I can't remember what the hell they're called right now. It's the stupidest shit. I'm drawing a blank. But, you know, basically the mechanics that you play through in Mythic Plus, those won't exist yet. But you'll be able to basically run through it, figure it out, learn how the routes are run, learn how the pulls are supposed to be done and everything. Affixes, yes. I don't know why I can remember that. But those won't exist. But running through a Mythic Plus Zero is going to give you some better gear, prepare you for the raid, and prepare you for the dungeon and the raid, and give you something to do in the meantime before this all opens. So this will all actually open up about 2 weeks usually, or a week later after the patch goes live. But before all that happens, you'll be able to actually do this. So this is really, really good. I'm excited for this. These will be available at launch. Tazesh hard mode returns. So 8 boss mega dungeons. So not only are we getting Tazesh returning, right, in 2 separate dungeons as part of the Mythic Plus pool, but Tazesh, the mega dungeon itself, will return as a hard mode, so that's really cool. Based Mythic Mega Dungeon, so zoning in a Tazesh normally will take players to a fully Mythic-only Mega Dungeon, tuned as a +10 with a hard mode, automatically enabled. The intent is to give players the option to run an untimed mini-raid experience. The exact rewards are still being decided, though developers believe that the Mega Dungeon should drop loot comparable to Mythic +10, with a possibility that it'll also give credit towards the Mythic +10 track vaults. This is really cool. This will be a way to, like, you got enough time to maybe not raid, but more time than just to run a Mythic Plus dungeon. You can jump in with a really good group of players and run the entirety of the Mega Dungeon at a +10 level and get tons of freaking loot, probably badges too, and those annoying-ass Valor Stones. This is really cool. This is another piece of content that you'll be able to play through besides your Mythic Plus runs and your raid. I think this is a great addition, a great decision by them, basically giving us a mini raid to play through, kind of what a mini dungeon was supposed to be, or mega dungeon was supposed to be. It's like the in between there, between raiding and running a dungeon. Very, very cool. And then individual Mythic Plus wings will also be available. We already talked about that. 2 versions of this will be made available for Mythic Plus that season. And then the new dungeon here, the Ecodome. This is a nice reminiscent, what's it called? Back to the past. Looking at back how on Burning Crusade worked with these little domes, these eco-domes, and how cool they were when you first walked into them. Sam is about to pass out. Probably. There's so much freaking news to get into here. Looking at these eco-domes, beautiful. This is a really cool looking area. I mean, I'm just excited for the aesthetic of this dungeon. It's a pretty damn nice looking dungeon. We saw the mini-map of it earlier with the little waystone that I was showing. But thematically, the dungeon contains a variety of ethereal wildlife, along with Wastelander forces trying to prevent players from regaining control of the Ecodome. We have seen Ecodomes in the past, and Ecodome back in Netherstorm. That's right, that's where I remember these from. They look like wildly functional magical greenhouses designed to keep certain wildlife and nature preserved. It makes you wonder, why do these Wastelanders want this Ecodome in particular? So this is cool. This will be run as your Mythic Plus rotation. This will also be available in normal and heroic modes. So excited, as I said. I think adding a new dungeon to the rotation is very, very cool. I'm excited to see this. I can't believe you're reading all these news articles instead of watching videos of. I know, right? I'm putting in actual work today and going through all this stuff. All players will have access to Shadow Meld as well for Mythic Plus. This is cool. So that if you don't know, this is the Night Elf ability. You know, the ability to be able to go invisible. Well, you'll now have an Umbral Essence potion here. You'll be able to drink this thing and essentially use Shadow Meld inside of Mythic Plus dungeons. This is a good thing. People have oftentimes said you have to be a Night Elf for whatever reason. Very high-end scene of Mythic Plus on the competitive side has often required a Night Elf to exist for Shadow Meld and stuff like that. It's been a nice thing to have. Well, now everyone can have it, so that's a good addition there. Nexus Princess Kyza talking about delves. We have a new mega boss. Yeah, that's right. The new end boss, the new underpin, the new Zekvir. It's Nexus Princess Kyza. Hey, she looks familiar? Yeah, because we fought her in a raid already. So she's going to be your new end game, mega boss, the achievement boss, the really cool thing, the Mage Tower-esque event. This will be cool. A 1v1 with Nexus Princess Kyza. I'm sure there'll be some lore involved here, some of the stuff she's going to say, so we'll see. But a cool little thing here. A nice little touch that we already fought her too in the lore. That's kind of cool. And then maybe with the most important feature of all, the final feature I'll talk about today being added in 11.2, the ability to lean with it and rock with it. That's right. Yeah, so this is cool. You'll be able to now slash lean. Yes, with slash lean, if you go up against a wall, you'll finally be able to do it to just look like a badass and pose up against a wall. That's right. What's something we've always wanted in the game. Probably the one feature that makes this patch actually great. That's right, being able to lean up against a wall. So going through all of this, 11.2 overall, looking cool. Excited for the dungeons, excited for the raids. Tons of changes coming. Again, you can check these out in the chat or in the link below for all your class changes as well. But overall, 11.2 Ghosts of Caresh. Excited for this one.